Hello, Crest residents, and welcome back to Brain Boosters. Thank you so much for joining me this month for another Brain Boosters video. My name is Jillian Perry, and I am the Resident Services Coordinator of the Highline Overlook neighborhood. Resident Services is a team of employees available to partner with you through the joy-filled and the hard times, and we believe in being approachable and responsive to your well-being. Every interaction we share, you can trust that what matters to you matters to us. We are happy to provide comprehensive information about supportive resources tailored to your personal circumstances so that you're able to make informed decisions. If you would like to be emailed a direct link to the newest Brain Boosters video each month, I am more than happy to send those to you. All you'll need to do is call or email me using my contact information that will be listed at the end of this video. Also, as a quick note, Resident Services leads a Parkinson's support group and a Memory Loss Care Partner support group, just in case you're interested in either of those. I invite you to reach out to Resident Services if you have any questions about Brain Boosters or other support group offerings here at Crest. I also want to make a note that Brain Boosters is now offered in person again. These classes will be held on the third Monday of each month in the Town Center Music Room from 1 to 2 p.m. And we will be covering the same topics as these virtual series. So please feel welcome to call or email me to reserve your spot and to sign up for those classes. Since last month marked the start of a new quarter, one focused on sharing our unique gifts, time, talents, and treasures, we talked about altruism, which is the unselfish concern for other people and doing things simply out of a desire to help. This includes donating and volunteering, and we talked about some studies and research to back up and support the cognitive and general health benefits of both of those. We discussed that dopamine is pumped through our brains at higher levels when we perform altruistic behaviors, which creates an ideal setting for us to learn, plan, and be productive. I thought this month would be a great opportunity to talk about lifelong learning, including what learning is, the different types of learning, what happens in the brain when we learn, and the benefits for our cognitive and overall general health when we participate in lifelong learning. So intellectual wellness is about more than brain games that you might have seen or you might personally enjoy. It involves being curious, expanding your knowledge and skills through creative, stimulating activities, and even sharing your knowledge with others. It's one of the dimensions of wellness necessary to support your overall well-being, so making sure that you keep learning can be a key factor in aging well. Learning is an active process of engaging and manipulating objects, experiences, and conversations in order to build mental models of the world. Learners can build knowledge as they observe, interact, and explore the world around them, converse and engage with others, and can make connections between new ideas and prior understandings. Learning involves enriching, building upon, and changing existing understanding, where one's knowledge base is a scaffold that supports the construction of all future learning. Learning should not be limited to being examined or perceived as something that happens on an individual level. Instead, it is necessary to think of learning as a social activity involving people, the things they use, the words they speak, the cultural context they're in, and the actions they take, and that knowledge is built by members in the activity. Learning can provide learners with the opportunity to engage with specific ideas and concepts on a need-to-know or want-to-know basis. Learning requires motivation and cognitive engagement to be sustained when learning complex ideas because considerable mental effort and persistence are necessary. Through a network of neurons, sensory information is transmitted by synapses along the neural pathway and stored temporarily in short-term memory, which is a region of the brain that acts like a receiving center for the sensory information we encounter in our daily lives. Once processed in short-term memory, our brain's neural pathways carry these memories to the structural core, which then they're compared with existing memories and stored in our long-term memory, where we store what we've experienced in our lives. This process actually occurs in an instant, but it sure isn't always perfect. As information races across billions of neurons, some degradation is common, which is why many of our memories are actually incomplete or can include false portions that we actually make up to fill in the holes of the real memory. Neuroscientists have actually proven that learning and memory formation are made by the strengthening and weakening of connections among brain cells. As an example, think about your regular path or paths within the Crest community. You probably don't need to think too consciously about how to get to a particular place because it's a trip you've taken so many times that the memory of how to navigate to it is ingrained. But the neurons that control that memory might have communicated or have communicated so often that they've actually formed a tight bond. However, on the other hand, think about when you first moved to Crest, your brain likely had to work much harder to get you where you needed to go. You probably had to ask for directions, write them down, or pay extra attention to signage. In this case, the neurons involved in navigating the community had not shared synapses frequently or ever, so they had communicated inefficiently. This requires new connections in the brain, which resulted in a greater conscious effort and attention on all of our parts when we first got here. Something to add, one of the persistent myths about the aging brain is that older adults struggle to learn new things, but science does not back that up. So here is what you need to know about lifelong learning and how we can all keep our minds healthy and active. So lifelong learning is a form of self-initiated education that's focused on personal development. While there's actually no standard definition of lifelong learning, it's generally been used to refer to learning that occurs outside of a formal education institute such as school or university or like a formal training of some sort. Lifelong learning does not necessarily have to restrict itself to informal learning. It's best described as being voluntary, with the purpose of achieving personal fulfillment, and the means to achieve this could result in formal or informal education. Information and knowledge change every single day, so it's important to continue our learning to keep our brains engaged. So let's go over 3 different types of learning. The first is maintenance learning. So maintenance learning helps you keep up with the trends of a particular topic without increasing your understanding on a deeper level. This adds to your knowledge of a topic. For example, subscribing to a daily newsletter for updates on current events or staying up to date with the changes that are and have been occurring at Crest. The second one is growth learning. So growth learning adds knowledge and skills that you didn't have before. For example, joining a book club, volunteering for projects or events that involve skills that you don't typically use, or signing up for a free online course, or even attending these Brain Boosters classes. Third, there is shock learning, and shock learning can be thought of as the act of trial and error. The shock is experienced when you learn something that actually contradicts the knowledge or understanding that you already have. So examples of this include traveling to a foreign country and communicating with the natives, or trying to communicate with the natives who don't speak your language, or looking up how a utensil that you use frequently was invented or created. Before we get into how to incorporate lifelong learning into our lives, let's talk about the benefits of lifelong learning on our minds and bodies. So to start off the benefits of lifelong learning, we have renewed self-motivation. So sometimes we all get stuck in a rut doing things simply because we have to do them, like going to appointments or tidying up our space. So figuring out what inspires you puts you back in the driver's seat and can be a reminder that you can really do things in your life that you want to do. Second, we have recognition of personal interests and goals. Reigniting what lights up your heart can reduce boredom, make life more interesting, and can even open up future opportunities because you never know where your interests will lead you if you focus on them. Next, we have improvement in other personal skills. So while you're busy learning a new skill or acquiring new knowledge, you're also building other knowledge or valuable skills that can help you in your personal life. So this is because we utilize other skills in order to learn something new. For example, learning to sew requires problem solving. Learning to draw involves developing creativity. And skill development can include interpersonal skills, problem solving, creativity, critical thinking, leadership, adaptability, and many more. Improved self-confidence. So becoming more knowledgeable or skilled in something can increase our self-confidence in both our personal and professional lives. In our personal lives, this confidence can stem from the satisfaction of devoting time and effort to learning or improving, which gives us a sense of accomplishment. In addition to those, lifelong learning can help you develop natural abilities. It can help open your mind to other points of view, provide wisdom of the whats and whys of previous successes and failures, and it can allow you to give back to your community, help you adapt to change. It can help you find meaning in your life, make connections with new people, and can enrich your self-fulfillment. Have you ever thought or wondered what would happen if older adults went back to school? In 2020, researchers published a study to present just that. In an intervention, researchers examined how learning multiple real-world skills impacts older adults' cognitive health. So the goal was to mimic the course load of younger students. 6 older adults participated in Spanish, art, photography, music composition, and iPad classes, and their performance on cognitive tests was compared to 7 older adults in a no-contact control group. Both of those groups completed a pre, mid, and post-intervention measure of cognitive performance. So each class met for 2 hours once a week for 15 weeks, and participants had an additional 8 to 10 hours of homework per week. The researchers found improvements in cognitive functioning over participants' baseline scores. Specifically, cognitive control, working memory, and episodic memory improved by the intervention's midpoint. Those who participated in the intervention had cognitive scores closer to those of middle-aged adults. Going back to define a few terms, cognitive control supports flexible, adaptive responses and complex goal-directed thought. Working memory is a skill that allows us to work with information without losing track of what we're doing, and in other words, it holds new information in place so that the brain can work with it briefly and connect it with other information. Episodic memory is a category of long-term memory that involves the recollection of specific events and situations and experiences. So all 3 of these categories of cognitive functioning improved throughout the study, which demonstrates how lifelong learning improves our cognitive functioning and overall brain health. Most people will learn something new at some point in their daily routine just by talking to other people, browsing the internet, reading the newspaper, or engaging in activities of personal interest. For example, I learn something new about Crest and/or Colorado almost every single day, no matter how small the piece of information is. However, if making more of an effort to learn something new is a priority to you, here are some ways to adopt lifelong learning into your life. It's important to recognize your own personal interests and goals. So lifelong learning is about you and not other people and what they want. So reflect on what you're passionate about and what you envision for your own future. For example, if learning history is your passion, there are ways to explore this interest further, such as reading or browsing the internet. Next, make a list of what you would like to learn or be able to do. So once you've identified what motivates you or what you're passionate about, explore what it is about that particular interest or goal that you want to achieve. Returning to the example about having history as a passion, perhaps it is desirable to simply expand your knowledge on the history of a particular country or time period. Third, identify how you would like to get involved and the resources that are available to you. Achieving our personal goals begins with figuring out how to get started. Researching and reading about the interests or goals that you have can help you figure out how to go about learning it. So again, with our history example, a person who wants to simply learn more about a particular time period in history could discover books in the library, some blogs, magazines, or podcasts dedicated to the subject, or even go to a museum or attend a talk. And also, I'll just add that we do have libraries here on campus at Crest, so it may be worth checking them out to see if they have any books that may pertain to the topic that you're interested in. 4, structure the learning goal into your life. So fitting a new learning goal into your busy life takes, of course, consideration and effort. If you don't make time and space for it, it simply won't happen. And that can easily lead to discouragement or quitting the learning initiative altogether. So planning out how the requirements of a new learning initiative can fit into your life, or what you need to do to make them fit, can be really important. So for example, if learning a new language is your learning goal, can you make time for an hour a day, or does 15 minutes per day sound more realistic? Understanding the time and space that you can or are able to devote can help you stick to the goal in the long run, in the long term, and help you not get discouraged. And finally, make a commitment. So committing to your decision to engage in a new learning initiative is the final and most important step. So if you've set realistic expectations and have the self-motivation to see it through, commit to it and avoid making excuses. Some additional examples of lifelong learning are developing a new skill such as sewing, cooking, or public speaking. 2, a self-taught study, so learning a new language or researching a topic of interest such as history, which I know we spoke about throughout this program. Learning a new sport or activity, so this could include joining a yoga class, learning to play pickleball, or learning how to exercise on the fitness equipment at the fitness centers on campus. We have learning to use new technology, so learning how to use smart devices or new software applications. And acquiring new knowledge, so taking a self-interest course online or a classroom-based course such as Brain Boosters. If you're interested in watching more content related to lifelong learning, I encourage you to take about 7 minutes to watch an educational video by Dr. Eric Kandel, who is a medical doctor who specializes in psychiatry. He's also a neuroscientist and a professor at Columbia University. Dr. Kandel focuses on lifelong learning and how it relates to the parts and function of the brain and age-related memory loss and overall health. I will have a link to that video in the description box below, just in case anyone is interested in that. Thank you all so much for watching this episode of Brain Boosters. I really hope to see you all in person soon. The next one is on June 21st, where I will be holding the next in-person Brain Boosters session. And again, that will be from 1 to 2 p.m. on Monday, June 21st, which is the third Monday of next month. So please let me know if you would like to sign up to attend June's Brain Boosters, and I'll be happy to add your name to the list.